Imagine walking into a museum, a bank, or a high-security vault, and walking out with millions. No alarms, no arrests, just a flawless getaway. These are the heists that left investigators speechless, criminals vanishing like ghosts, and the FBI scrambling for answers. From priceless diamonds to entire buckets of gold stolen in broad daylight, these jaw-dropping robberies defied logic, security, and the odds. How did they do it? Who was behind them? And most importantly, where are the missing treasures now? Buckle up, because these are the 5 most daring jewel heists that stunned the FBI. The Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum Heist. On the night of March 18, 1990, 2 men dressed as Boston police officers arrived at the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum, claiming to be responding to a disturbance. The security guards, following standard procedure, allowed them inside. Within moments, the supposed officers revealed their true intentions. This was not a routine check, but the beginning of the most significant art and jewel heist in history. The thieves swiftly overpowered the 2 guards, binding them with duct tape and securing them in the museum's basement. With the museum completely unguarded, they had free rein for the next 81 minutes. Their movements through the museum showed an unusual mix of precision and recklessness. They bypassed some of the most valuable pieces in the collection, instead targeting 13 specific works. Among the stolen items was a Chinese beaker from the Shang dynasty, a rare and precious artifact that, while not as famous as the Rembrandt and Vermeer paintings they also took, carried immense historical and monetary value. The thieves worked with a level of confidence that suggested inside knowledge of the museum's layout and security systems. They methodically removed artworks from their frames, cutting some of the paintings directly from their stretchers. They even took the time to unscrew a security device from a finial atop a Napoleonic flag. Their loot included Vermeer's The Concert, one of the most valuable stolen paintings in history, as well as works by Rembrandt, Degas, and Manet. The total estimated value of the stolen pieces exceeded $500 million, making it the largest property theft in recorded history. Despite the scale and brazenness of the crime, the thieves left behind no clear evidence of their identities. Security footage was limited, and fingerprints were scarce. Investigators speculated that the robbery had been orchestrated by an organized crime syndicate, possibly with ties to the Boston underworld. Over the years, various theories emerged, linking the theft to the Irish mob, the Italian mafia, and even rogue art dealers. Several promising leads surfaced, but none led to the recovery of the stolen works. The case remained a top priority for the FBI, which offered multi-million-dollar rewards for information leading to the return of the stolen pieces. Tips poured in from around the world, but every promising lead ended in a dead end. Some speculated that the stolen artworks had been hidden away in a private collection, while others believed they had been destroyed to prevent recovery. One of the most intriguing aspects of the case was the peculiar selection of items taken. While the paintings were the most high-profile losses, the theft of the Chinese beaker puzzled experts. Unlike the paintings, which could be ransomed or sold on the black market, the beaker was nearly impossible to move without drawing attention. Its theft suggested either a collector-driven crime or a thief with a personal interest in antiquities. Despite numerous suspects over the decades, no arrests have ever been made. Some figures in the Boston criminal underworld were believed to have had knowledge of the crime, but many took their secrets to the grave. One theory suggested that the paintings had been used as collateral in illicit dealings, passing through the hands of various criminals before vanishing entirely. The Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum has left the empty frames of the stolen paintings hanging in their original locations, a haunting reminder of what was lost. Decades later, the heist remains one of the greatest mysteries in the art and jewelry world. The FBI continues to pursue leads, and the museum still offers a $10 million reward for information leading to the return of the stolen works. Whether the missing pieces will ever be recovered remains one of the biggest unanswered questions in the history of art crime. The Antwerp Diamond Heist. In February 2003, the world witnessed what would later be dubbed the heist of the century, when a group of thieves successfully broke into the Antwerp Diamond Center in Belgium, stealing over $100 million worth of diamonds, gold, and other precious gems. The crime was so meticulously planned and executed that it baffled both law enforcement and security experts for years. The Antwerp Diamond District, one of the most heavily secured locations for precious stones in the world, was supposed to be impenetrable, yet a group of criminals managed to outsmart its high-tech defenses. The mastermind behind the operation was Leonardo Notarbartolo, an Italian thief with a history of high-profile heists. He had spent years planning the job, assembling a team of expert criminals, each with a unique skill set. They included a locksmith, an electronics specialist, a safecracker, and a driver. The plan was to infiltrate the Diamond Center's vault, which was located 2 floors underground and protected by multiple layers of security, including heat sensors, motion detectors, Doppler radar, a magnetic field, and an advanced lock system with over 100 million possible combinations. To gain access to the vault, Notarbartolo posed as a diamond merchant and rented an office inside the Diamond Center, allowing him to study the security measures from within. Over time, he and his team collected crucial intelligence, figuring out ways to bypass the sophisticated defenses. They discovered that the security cameras had blind spots and that certain alarms could be disabled with careful manipulation. On the night of February 15, 2003, the gang made their move. With perfect timing, they managed to enter the building unnoticed. First, they disabled the security cameras using a spray of hairspray, which temporarily blocked their view. They then carefully bypassed the motion detectors by placing styrofoam over the sensors. The vault's electromagnetic field, which was designed to trigger an alarm if disrupted, was neutralized using a clever homemade device. Finally, they reached the vault's main door, which was secured with a foot-thick steel barrier. Using an advanced lock-picking technique, they managed to crack the combination and open the vault without triggering any alarms. Once inside, the thieves encountered over 100 safe deposit boxes filled with diamonds, gold, and cash. They worked quickly, looting the vault and stuffing their bags with valuables. The heist was executed with such precision that security personnel remained completely unaware of the break-in until the following morning. When employees arrived, they were met with the shocking sight of an empty vault and scattered debris from the ransacked safe deposit boxes. Investigators were stunned by the complexity of the heist. The Antwerp police, along with the FBI and Interpol, launched a massive investigation, piecing together the intricate details of how the thieves had bypassed some of the most advanced security measures in the world. Despite their efforts, there were initially no solid leads pointing to the culprits. However, a crucial mistake led to the eventual downfall of the gang. A few days after the heist, authorities discovered a garbage bag filled with half-eaten food, receipts, and security tapes discarded near Notarbartolo's hideout outside Antwerp. The DNA and evidence found in the bag linked him and his crew to the crime. Notarbartolo was arrested, but by then, most of the stolen diamonds had already disappeared into the black market. Despite his arrest and eventual conviction, Notarbartolo maintained that he was merely a middleman hired by an unknown client who had orchestrated the heist. He claimed that the robbery was an inside job and that someone from within the Antwerp Diamond District had tipped off the thieves about weaknesses in the security system. He was sentenced to 10 years in prison, but never revealed the identities of his accomplices or the whereabouts of the missing diamonds. To this day, the Antwerp Diamond Heist remains one of the most daring and sophisticated jewel robberies in history. Many of the stolen gems were never recovered, and theories about their fate continue to circulate. Some believe they were recut and sold through underground networks, making them virtually untraceable. Others speculate that a powerful crime syndicate was behind the heist, using the stolen diamonds as a form of currency in the underworld. Despite the passage of time, the mystery of the Antwerp Diamond Heist endures, leaving law enforcement and security experts with more questions than answers. The case remains an extraordinary example of how even the most fortified vaults can be breached with patience, precision, and the right combination of skills. The Dresden Green Vault Heist. In the early hours of November 25, 2019, one of the most audacious jewel heists in history took place at the Green Vault, Grünes Gewölbe, in Dresden, Germany. The museum housed within the historic Dresden Castle was home to one of Europe's most treasured collections of royal artifacts, including priceless diamonds, rubies, emeralds, and pearls. The thieves executed their plan with military-like precision, stealing an estimated €1 billion worth of 18th-century jewels in just a matter of minutes. The heist began when the criminals set fire to an electrical distribution box near the Augustus Bridge, plunging the surrounding area into darkness. This act effectively disabled security alarms and surveillance systems, giving them a crucial window of time to break into the museum without immediate detection. Armed with tools and a well-rehearsed plan, the thieves then forced their way into the building by breaking through a metal grate and smashing a window. Once inside, they headed straight for the jewel room, which housed some of the most irreplaceable pieces from the collection of Augustus the Strong, the 18th-century Elector of Saxony and King of Poland. The thieves used axes to shatter a reinforced glass display case, bypassing more secure vaults and ignoring other valuable items in the museum. Their primary targets were 3 sets of diamond-encrusted jewelry that once belonged to Saxon royalty. These pieces included an epaulette containing the famous 49-carat Dresden white diamond, elaborate brooches, and a diamond-encrusted sword hilt. Security guards inside the museum were aware of the break-in, but, following protocol, did not confront the thieves directly. Instead, they called the police, but by the time officers arrived just minutes later, the criminals had already vanished. The entire operation lasted only 8 minutes. Outside, the thieves fled in an Audi A6, which was later found torched in an underground parking garage in Dresden, eliminating any forensic evidence that might have been inside. Investigators immediately launched a high-profile manhunt. Surveillance footage captured the heist, but the thieves had covered their faces and left little traceable evidence. The precision of the operation suggested that the criminals had inside knowledge of the museum's security and layout. Law enforcement agencies across Germany and Europe collaborated in the search for the perpetrators, examining potential connections to organized crime groups. Over a year later, in late 2020, authorities made a breakthrough. The heist was linked to the Remo clan, a notorious criminal organization operating in Germany. Several members of the clan had been involved in previous high-profile crimes, including the theft of a 100-kilogram gold coin from Berlin's Bode Museum in 2017. In a series of coordinated raids, police arrested multiple suspects connected to the Dresden heist, recovering some of the stolen items. However, the most valuable pieces, including the Dresden white diamond, were still missing. The arrests provided insight into how the heist was planned and executed. The criminals had conducted meticulous surveillance, studying security routines and museum vulnerabilities. The use of fire to disable alarms, the quick in-and-out strategy, and the careful selection of targets all pointed to an operation that had been in the works for months, if not years. The loss of the stolen jewels was a devastating blow to Germany's cultural heritage. Unlike cash or gold, historical artifacts and royal treasures cannot be easily sold on the black market without attracting attention. Experts feared that the gems might be broken apart and reset into new pieces, making them virtually untraceable. Others speculated that the jewels were being used as collateral in underground dealings, much like stolen artwork in previous heists. As the legal process continued, Some of the accused reached plea deals in exchange for revealing the location of certain stolen items. In late 2022, authorities announced that a portion of the stolen treasures had been recovered in Berlin. However, many pieces remained missing, and their fate remains uncertain. The Dresden Green Vault Heist is regarded as one of the most significant jewel thefts of the modern era, not only for the value of the stolen items, but for the sheer brazenness of the operation. It exposed vulnerabilities in even the most well-guarded cultural institutions and underscored the challenges of recovering stolen antiquities once they enter the underground world of illicit trade. Even years later, the mystery of the missing jewels continues to captivate law enforcement and historians alike, leaving open the question of whether the remaining treasures will ever be found. The Graff Diamonds Robbery. On August 6, 2009, one of the most daring and sophisticated jewel heists in British history took place at Graff Diamonds in London. Two well-dressed men walked into the high-end jewelry store in New Bond Street in broad daylight, posing as wealthy customers interested in purchasing diamonds. Within minutes, they executed an audacious heist, making off with an astonishing £40 million, $65 million worth of jewelry. The robbery was meticulously planned, involving expert disguises, high-powered weapons, and a complex getaway strategy that left police scrambling for answers. The thieves, later identified as members of a notorious criminal network, had gone to extreme lengths to conceal their identities. Prior to the heist, they visited a professional makeup artist who used prosthetics and special effects makeup to alter their facial features. This ensured that their real faces would not be recognized on surveillance footage, adding an extra layer of deception to their plan. Once inside the store, they appeared to be genuine clients, chatting with employees and examining various pieces of jewelry. Suddenly, they pulled out handguns, immediately taking control of the situation. They forced employees to open the showcases and hand over dozens of high-value items, including rare diamonds, necklaces, earrings, and bracelets. The stolen pieces were not just incredibly valuable, but also unique, making them difficult to sell without being detected. During the robbery, one of the thieves fired a warning shot into the air, ensuring that no one inside the store attempted to resist. Within minutes, they had stuffed their bags with some of the most expensive jewelry in Graff's collection. They then forced a female employee to walk out of the store with them as a human shield, preventing security or bystanders from intervening. Once outside, they released the hostage and fled the scene in a stolen blue BMW. The criminals had planned their escape route meticulously. They switched cars at least 3 times, using stolen vehicles to avoid being tracked. One of the getaway cars was abandoned with a mobile phone left inside, a deliberate attempt to mislead the police. However, despite their carefully executed plan, they made a crucial mistake. One of them had left behind a single drop of sweat on the leather seat of one of the getaway cars. Investigators launched a massive operation to track down the perpetrators. The DNA evidence from the sweat led them to a known criminal named Amin Kasseye, a member of an organized crime syndicate. As authorities dug deeper, they uncovered a network of individuals who had played different roles in planning and executing the heist. Over the next several months, police arrested multiple suspects, eventually convicting 4 men involved in the crime. Despite these arrests, much of the stolen jewelry was never recovered. Experts speculated that the diamonds and other valuables were quickly smuggled out of the country, possibly recut or reset to avoid detection. Some theorized that the items had been sold to underground buyers in Asia or the Middle East, while others believed that they had been used in illicit transactions within the criminal underworld. The Graff Diamonds Robbery remains one of the most famous jewel heists ever committed, not only because of the staggering value of the stolen goods, but also due to the level of sophistication involved. The use of professional disguises, strategic getaway planning, and an almost flawless execution demonstrated the meticulous preparation behind the crime. Even years after the heist, the case continues to intrigue law enforcement and security experts. While the main perpetrators were brought to justice, the fate of the missing diamonds remains a mystery. The robbery also led to heightened security measures at luxury jewelry stores around the world, as businesses sought to prevent similar high-profile crimes. The Graff Diamonds Heist serves as a reminder that even in a city as heavily surveilled as London, criminals with the right combination of planning, skill, and deception can pull off crimes that leave authorities and the public stunned. The mystery of where the missing jewels ended up remains one of the great unanswered questions in the world of high-stakes theft. The New York Diamond District Heist. In one of the most bizarre yet brazen heists in recent history, a thief walked away with a $6 million bucket of gold flakes in broad daylight from Manhattan's Diamond District. On September 29, 2016, security cameras captured the astonishing moment when a man casually snatched a bucket filled with 86 pounds of raw gold from an armored truck and disappeared into the chaos of New York City. The incident left both law enforcement and the public baffled at how such a simple yet audacious crime could unfold in one of the most secure commercial districts in the world. The robbery took place on West 48th Street, a hub for the jewelry trade, where millions of dollars worth of diamonds and gold are exchanged daily. On that afternoon, 2 guards from an armored truck were making a routine delivery, briefly leaving the back of the vehicle open. As they moved between stores, one of them stepped away to retrieve paperwork, while the other stood at the front of the truck, unaware that they had left a massive gold-filled container unattended. Seizing the opportunity, a man in a green vest, appearing to be a construction worker, nonchalantly approached the truck. Without hesitation, he picked up the 5-gallon metal bucket containing the gold flakes and walked away. The heist, captured by multiple surveillance cameras, showed the thief struggling under the weight of the container, which was nearly 90 pounds. At times, he had to stop and readjust his grip, but he remained remarkably composed. He strolled down the crowded streets, blending into the bustling city, as if nothing unusual had happened. By the time the guards noticed the missing bucket, the thief had already vanished into Midtown Manhattan's labyrinth of streets. Investigators reviewing security footage were stunned by the simplicity of the crime. Unlike high-tech, carefully orchestrated heists that involved weeks of planning, this theft appeared to be opportunistic, a case of sheer luck and impeccable timing. However, as authorities dug deeper, they realized that the thief was not just a random passerby, but a professional criminal who had carefully studied his surroundings before making his move. The NYPD launched an intensive manhunt, combing through hours of surveillance footage and interviewing witnesses. The suspect was later identified as Julio Nivello, a career criminal from Ecuador with a long history of thefts. Known to authorities as Luis Toledo, he had multiple aliases and had previously been arrested for other crimes. After stealing the gold, Nivello initially remained in New York, hiding in various locations to avoid detection. However, as police closed in, he fled to Florida and later made his way to Los Angeles. Tracking Nivello proved challenging, as he used his network of contacts and safe houses to evade capture. Authorities believed that he had quickly offloaded much of the gold, possibly melting it down or selling it in small quantities to avoid suspicion. The value of the stolen gold flakes made it difficult to trace, as raw gold could be easily refined and resold without raising alarms. After months on the run, Nivello was eventually captured in California in December 2016. He was extradited back to New York, where he faced charges related to the theft. However, by the time of his arrest, much of the stolen gold was still missing. Law enforcement officials suspected that he had successfully laundered the proceeds from the heist, leaving little evidence behind. The New York Diamond District Heist remains one of the most unusual crimes in modern history, not because of its complexity, but because of how effortlessly it was executed. A man simply walked up to an unattended armored truck, lifted a bucket of gold, and vanished into the crowd, turning a moment of opportunity into a multi-million-dollar payday. Despite Novello's arrest, the case left many unanswered questions. What happened to the majority of the stolen gold? Did he act alone? Or was there a larger network involved? Could such a brazen theft happen again? The heist exposed vulnerabilities in the security procedures of even the most heavily guarded financial districts, proving that sometimes the most successful crimes are the ones hiding in plain sight.